Hi there, welcome to this week's market analysis. So what we're going to do as usual is to look at what has happened for the past week very quickly, and we'll jump into the upcoming week. What are some of the things that you want to keep an eye on? And of course, going into the charts, we'll take a look at the technical analysis and opportunities available for the week. So quick one on last week, the main highlight was mainly on the NFP side of things, which is on Friday. Okay, so we do see the NFP data came in slightly better than the forecast, which came out at 315,000, okay, versus the expected of 295. However, we do see unemployment rate actually shoot up to 3.7 versus 3.5. And the average hourly earnings actually dropped, or I would say came in lower at 0.3 versus the expected of 0.4. So overall, it's a little bit of a mix in terms of the economic data over here. We do have the new jobs added. However, unemployment actually shot up a little bit, and the average hourly earning wasn't as good as the previous month as well. Okay. So that definitely had a little bit of impact in the dollar. Late last week, okay, we did see some kind of volatility, but overall direction wise, it wasn't very clear from this particular event itself. Now, if you take a look at this coming week, Monday we do have a couple of holidays from the Canadian side as well as the dollar. So we're definitely gonna see a little bit quiet market on Monday. Following that, we have the RBA cash rate coming in on Tuesday, so do keep an eye on that. And then on Wednesday, we have the Bank of Canadian rate statement in as well, so that's gonna actually be important. And then on Thursday, we have the ECB. Okay, so next week is actually a central bank rate statement week. Okay, from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we do have one bank on each day. And then ending off on Friday, we have the Canadian labor data. Okay, so based on my personal experience, recently the CAT labor market data is actually quite an easy opportunity to be looking at news trading if you're actually interested in that kind of strategy. So keep an eye on that as well, right? So I think next week it's gonna be pretty much a very eventful week, just based on the kind of calendar over here and economic data that is scheduled to be released. Cool. So with that, let's take a look at the technical portion. Okay. So first up, let's keep an eye on the dollar index. So you can see over here, this on the 4-hour chart. That's where the volatility came in on Friday NFP. Initial reaction, the dollar weakened, and then after that, to end off the week, it actually strengthened back. So based on this perspective here, for me, I'm overall a little bit on the neutral to slightly bearish side on the dollar index, especially with what I'm seeing over here. This pattern, this structure looks a little bit more of a what we call a crawl pattern, or you can see it as a potential diagonal as well. And of course, we are actually retesting the previous top that was established in 14th of July. Somewhere around 109.30, right? So this can also be seen as a potential double top that might be developing. Okay, so overall, I'm actually more interested in the downside, and obviously, I would want to be waiting for some kind of confirmation where we see a strong push to the downside, and then after that, a decent correction that would then open up for more downside for the dollar itself. Okay. So that's my view on the dollar index. Overall this week, I'm going to be looking out for a potential reversal trade. Now jumping into the euro dollar on the 4-hour chart as well, we are currently still seeing a very clear structure here as a flag pattern. So we do get a very strong impulse push. Following that, we have a consolidation. So this again suggests more downside. However, how far lower can the euro dollar go? I think that's the key question, right? Now over here, if I were to put in a little bit of fib extension, perhaps using the 127 and 1618, we do see a little bit more downside. I wouldn't say it's a lot, okay, but key area here to be monitored is somewhere around 0.9850. to 0.979D, right? So if you're more of a swing trader, I don't think this is gonna be very attractive. However, if you're more of a shorter term intraday trader, I think for the first half of the week, there might be some good opportunity where you can take a look at this sell trade. And of course, when the market comes back to the bottom over here, you want to look out for how it's going to develop. There might be a potential reversal coming in as well, right? So that kind of coincides with the dollar index chart, okay, for a potential reversal. And do take note that on Thursday we have the ECB, right? So that kind of gives us a little bit of a potential catalyst for the euro dollar. Now next up we have the pound dollar. Pound dollar is still falling pretty sharp right now, which we call it impulsive. Okay, so at this moment here, it's definitely not a buy. I wouldn't suggest a sell either. The idea is to give the market sufficient time and see how it's going to develop next. Okay, so pound dollar are more or less neutral. Unlikely we're going to get some kind of trade opportunity for the week, okay, because especially after an impulsive move last week. So just be patient, leave this aside for now. Aussie dollar, I'm expecting a little bit more downside to retest the previous bottom over here. If you're familiar with the traditional technical analysis pattern, we do have a head and shoulder pattern completed with the neckline broken. Okay. So any kind of consolidation here, I think you have a high probability of another leg lower to retest the bottom around 6680. Right, so for Aussie dollar, the directional bias to be watching for the week is to look for opportunities to take it to the downside. I think even if you're a swing trader, the risk reward may not be super fantastic, but depending on your strategy, depending on your entry technique, you might be able to still squeeze out about maybe 1:2 or 1:3 kind of risk to reward ratio on the Aussie, right? So keep an eye on that as well. In terms of dollar Canadian, we kind of retesting the previous high. We came pretty close, but haven't really tagged it. I'm actually more interested if the market really come back up and touches this area around 1.3225. There is still the possibility where the market can consolidate a little bit, maybe go up a little bit more, and then this would develop into a diagonal or a crawl, as we mentioned. And this is where you have also a double top formation where you would want to be more of a reversal setup, right? Which come also very much in line with the dollar, where we're looking for a reversal soon. Okay, and of course, do take note of next week we have the Bank of Canadian coming in on Wednesday, so that can create some kind of volatility too. Okay, so dollar CAD, for now I would say I'm a little bit more inclined to look for sell somewhere around 1.3225, but I'll be patient and see how the market develop from here. Okay, dollar franc is quite similar in from the chart perspective with the dollar Canadian side of things. So we're coming very close to the previous top at 0.9885. Again, I would want to see how the market develop around that area. If you can get a crawl pattern over here, that gives you a double top as well, and then we'll look for the reversal to the downside. Dollar yen is actually pushing higher. It broke that 140 level. Okay, it managed to close above it as well. But if you ask me, am I gonna be looking for buy right now at this area? Probably not, because after kind of like an extended move, most of the time the market needs to pull back and reset first, right? So if I'm gonna look for buy, I want to first see a decent correction, which I don't think we're gonna get a buy setup this week. Okay, because if the market were to do a correction, it's probably gonna take time, and it might go into a consolidation for this entire week, and then perhaps the following week is where we might have a buy if this is the setup that's going in. Alternatively, I'll be keeping a close watch and see if the dollar yen is going to reject back to the downside, so kind of give us a little bit of a V-shaped formation here following the correction and consolidation. That would open up more downside, and this would then present a sell opportunity on the dollar yen. Okay, so I'm also keeping an eye on that. maintaining a very neutral perspective and see how the market develop going into the week. Jumping into gold, okay, we're kind of coming back to the previous bottom, didn't really tag it around 1680. Okay, I still think that there is a good chance that the market might still fall a little bit, right? With the dollar strengthening, gold here might drop a little bit more. And again, if it develop into kind of a crawl pattern, a double bottom over here, I'll be very interested in the buy for the gold trade over here as a long-term play. Okay, so definitely want to keep an eye on that. If this were to develop into a crawl, it's probably going to take time, and the closest potential setup I foresee is likely going to come maybe on Friday or even maybe early following week, right? So next week is a little bit more on the patient side of things and see how it develops. On S&P, okay, right now we're kind of testing this key area, previous support. So do give it some time. I would say maybe another 1 or 2 days. By Wednesday, maybe you might get a clearer picture as to how the market will want to develop. If we can get a decent bounce and rejection back up, then wait for a consolidation, and I think you want to look for upside to retest the previous high. However, if the market were to able to break below this area impulsively and then does a bit of consolidation there, we might open up for more downside, right? So in terms of overall equities, some traders or investors would say, we might have found the bottom and things like this. But from my perspective over here, you can see if I put in a trend line over here, there's even a possibility the market comes back and break that previous bottom at 3640. Okay, so equities are not that straightforward. I think you probably would have experienced that throughout this year. It's not gonna get easier moving forward, so be very careful on that. And you need to definitely have a proper strategy and or even investment thesis if you're looking at long-term play in the equity side of things. Okay, so that's my view on the S&P. And finally over here on Bitcoin, the pattern that is developing right now is very clear. I do believe that we might still see one more downside to retest the bottom around 18545 region, simply because we get a very decent impulse correction, and this again tells us that the probability to the downside is higher. Okay, this however is not going to be a swing trade. It's more of an intraday short-term play for those of you who are interested. And if you're looking to get involved into Bitcoin or invest into it, okay, my suggestion is to wait for it to come back and retest the bottom around 18,500 before deciding on whether you want to get involved in it, right? You want to get at the lowest price as possible if you're looking to buy into it. Right, so that's all from me for this week. Okay, for those of you trading, all the best. And reminder over here to also manage your risk, and I'll see you guys in the next one.